Well, hello there. David here, or as people call me behind my back, Mudbutt. Not really sure why. Anywho, now that the mock-up on the bike is finished, I need to start tearing it down and effecting repairs on broken parts. Now the first part I want to start working on is the front fender here. It's a bit cracked and jacked in places, as you can see, and it should be a relatively easy fix. Now you can buy replacement fenders. There are no aftermarket fenders for this one, but there are used fenders, of course, on eBay and elsewhere, but they can get expensive. Now, it is actually a lot easier to repair plastics than you may think, and I'll tell you, I've seen some really bad repair jobs by people who just overthink it. I've seen them slapping fiberglass or filling cracks with Bondo, and it just looks like crap and does not hold up in the long run. Now this is something that you would want to use right here, a plastic welder. You do not want to use anything as light as, say, like a super glue. You might think that would be okay since super glue is for plastics, but you have to understand this is going on a fender on a motorcycle that is going to be outside. There's going to be road vibration, elements, varying temperatures and all of that, and the regular super glue will come apart after a while. So you really want to use something that is specifically made for repairing, bonding plastics on motorcycles or outdoor plastics. And this is going to hold up to the road vibrations and all of the climate changes. So let's go ahead and get started on this, shall we? Now the first thing I want to do is to strip the paint away from all of the cracked areas. Now since I'm going to be repainting this fender, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the paint. Now in removing paint, this is something that you would want to use. This is a very light duty remover for paints and varnishes. This right here is your more heavy duty. This, will remove paint, rust, and all of that from your metal. Now if you use something like this on a plastic fender, you're going to chew the hell out of that plastic. And you can see how solid that is compared to this. This is a lot more flexible, a lot lighter. You want to use this and watch your speeds. Alright, now I've removed the paint from all of the cracked areas, and there are two reasons why I did that. Number one is I want a nice clean surface to glue to, and the second reason is that I really need to find the beginnings and the ends of each crack. And I'll tell you why. I want to drill holes at the ends of each crack. Here, you can tell the crack begins here and ends here. Now I want to drill at the end of each of these cracks, and the reason why is because I want to stop the crack from spreading or moving out any further. Now I can go ahead and fill this with glue and clamp it down, but if I do not drill a hole at the ends of these cracks, then over time they can open back up and spread farther. Now do not worry about these holes because they're going to get filled with the epoxy. Now the size of your bit does not really matter. I'm using a 1/8. Just keep in mind the larger the hole, the more you're going to have to fill in. And if you use a smaller bit, you could end up missing the end of the crack. So just keep all that in mind. Make sure you check both sides, because on the outside here it looks like the crack ends, or if you can see on the outside here it looks like the crack ends right there, but if you look on the inside you can see that the crack travels all the way up there. So make sure to check both sides. Now some of these cracks are a bit too fine for me to open up and get the epoxy in there, so I want to go ahead and open up the cracks so I have some room to get some adhesion in there. Now make sure that you're running this along the line of the crack. You do not want to make more work for yourself. Alright, so since this plastic weld here is a 2-part epoxy resin, which means it has to be squirted out and mixed, I've got all of my broken and cracked plastic pieces right here that need to be repaired. I've got them all cleaned and prepped and ready to go, and this way I avoid throwing away or wasting any of this epoxy resin. So I can go ahead and just do all of them at once. And this is why you keep old popsicle sticks. No matter what people say. And corn dog sticks for the smaller little nook and crannies. Alright, so that was a lot of tedious work. Now it takes about 24 hours for it to completely set. Then I can come back in and sand all of it smooth. And that should be fixed. Okay, now as you can see, the epoxy is all set up here. And you know, I like to tug on it. Make sure that I have good adhesion. So now what I need to do is just clean up the gunk. Then I want to move to my Dremel here, and I have a fine grit drum, and I'll use that to sand it all smooth. Okay, now I want to be careful here and watch my speed. Now if you can see here, all of the scratches there, that is all on the epoxy. So you can tell when you start to get down to the fender. And there we go, that is one crack cleaned up. Looking good. Now after you have finished sanding, you might notice a few small holes or gaps. Go ahead and fill those in with your epoxy. Nos Bondo. Bondo is only for cosmetics. So now that you know how to properly repair your plastics, I'd better not see any more bad jobs out there. Because I know there are millions of people watching these videos, and I just educated so many people. So many.